Thursday, September 3rd, 2020, of the Oldsmar City Council to order. Before we get started, I'll note that Councilmember Linda Norris is absent tonight. And also, as you might clearly be aware, we typically meet on the first and third Tuesdays. And of course, there is a statute that prohibits us from meeting on the same day that the county is holding their budget meetings, which was the case this past Tuesday evening. So here we are on Thursday, and our legal counsel, Tom Trask, was already committed, but he sent us a senior associate from their firm who I know will do a great job for us, Rob Eschenfelder. Okay, I'll make sure I got that right. So he's going to be leading us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. If you could all rise, please. And before he starts, I'd ask that we take just a moment of silence. We recently learned that we lost a former council member who served back in 1973, Lester Levy. And he was also a local volunteer firefighter and moved his family here, and we just learned about it today. So if you could, just a moment of silent meditation and appreciation for him and his family. Thank you. Rob?
Thank you, Aaron. Our Heavenly Father, bless all of those who give themselves in service to their fellow man. Grant unto them true judgment, noble purpose, and great daring, as they seek to do your will in their work for the people of Oldsmar. We ask your blessing on the City Council and on all in attendance here tonight, and that the work that is done here may find favor in your sight. Amen.
Amen.
To
the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Is it me or is it a little warm in here?
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Been trying.
You've been trying, huh?
Yeah.
I know we're trying to stretch the budget a little bit, but
It was warm out today.
yeah. All right, the next item on the agenda is the Citizens Open Forum. Each individual who wishes to speak has 5 minutes. We ask that you state your name and your address, include the city. We don't want to assume you're from the city of Oldsmar. The only thing that we ask is that you not speak on item 13 and 14, which is a public hearing, and we'll take your comments at the time we address those items on the agenda. And I'm going to start at this side of the room. Is there anybody who wishes to address council? Yes, sir. You could come up to the podium, and you can remove your face mask once you get up to the podium. And I think we're social distanced pretty well here tonight.
Looks like it. Peter Gottschalk, architect, live in Land O'Lakes. Although I'm very familiar with Oldsmar. My wife grew up in Oldsmar. Spent quite a bit of time here. So I'll be speaking on item 11.
It's a public hearing item.
That's also public hearing.
Oh, wow, I missed 10 and 11. I am sorry. I'd ask that you hold that comment until we get to that time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Thank you. The mayor skipped over page 2 of his agendas.
You wish.
It's going to be a quick meeting tonight. Sorry, sir, but thank you. All right, I'll go in the middle since we have someone standing in the back. Tracy?
Good evening, Tracy Coster. Thank you all so much for having me. For those of you that don't know, I was recently nominated to run for State House in District 64, which includes the great city of Oldsmar. Oldsmar is near and dear to my heart. I have lived in this area for at least the last 10 years. In fact, my husband and I bought our first house right on the corner of State Street. So this is home to us. This has been home to us. I grew up in Pinellas County since I was 2 years old. Live and work in this community, love the community, and really look forward to the opportunity to serve the community. I'm taking over what was Jamie Grant's seat. I know I've got big shoes to fill. I know he had a phenomenal relationship with the city, and I look forward to the the opportunity to maintain that relationship and continue to keep this community great for my kids and hopefully someday my grandkids, although I'm definitely putting the cart before the horse because mine are little. But, I just want to keep this community great, all the things that we've been doing to have a great community, and I look forward to that opportunity. So I will be very brief because I know you guys have very important business to get to, but I do really appreciate you having me tonight, and I look forward to the relationships for the years to come.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
You'll realize if elected that during session and when we hear about things down here, we text Jamie while he's on the floor like, no.
Don't say that. Take
so
that
we'll look
back.
forward to that as well.
Absolutely. You'll have my cell phone. So.
All right. Very good.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for all the work you do.
Thank you. All right. Anybody on this side of the room who wishes to speak? Very good. All right. We're going to close the citizens open forum. Next item on the agenda is the community minute.
Community minute. So we have a couple of things tonight. A wonderful date coming up. A couple of dates. Lightning Swag Pickup Day. Lightning Swag Pickup Day. Good.
Are you on?
There we
There you
There
go.
we go. Yeah, now my voice will carry. Lightning Swag Pickup Day. Gear up to support the Tampa Bay Lightning during the 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs. Stop by and pick up your free Bolts gear and or a street hockey stick and ball set this Saturday, September 5th from 1 to 4 at Lightning Made Street Hockey Rink located by the Tampa Road entrance into the Oldsmar Sports Complex on Winners Way. Offer valid while supplies last. Limit 1 item per person. So get there when you can. Saturday on the 5th from 1 to 4. And then another date to save, September 19th. The Oldsmar Tree Giveaway will be held from 9 to noon at Municipal Services Complex located at 300 Commerce Boulevard. Limit of 2 trees per Oldsmar resident. Proof of residency required. 3-gallon trees available include slash pine, bald cypress, magnolia, red maple, live oak, and crepe myrtle. So that's another first come, first serve, and that's from 9 to noon on Saturday 19th. And then, of course, Coastal Cleanup Day. Join Sustainable Oldsmar on Saturday, September 19th from 8 to noon for Coastal Cleanup Day. Sign-in and supplies will be at Shelter 1 at Ari Olds Park. Trash bags, gloves, and a limited number of pickers available for use. The cleanup sites will include Ari Olds Park, Veterans Memorial Park, and Mobley Beach. Volunteer hour sign-off is available. So hope to see you out there.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a good event. That's a good event. We got a lot of volunteers that come up that typically. Next item on the agenda is the approval of addition of new agenda items. Currently, we have no new items that are on there, so props to staff. I like that.
Good work.
I was going to add something, but I'm going to do it under comments. Next item on the agenda, awards and recognitions, presentation of Council Manager Award, August 2020. Our city manager, Mr. Al Braithwaite.
The TV screen says Service Awards. This is a service of a special kind. It's not literally an award for how long you've been here. As you know, the Council Manager Award rotates with choices from each member of the council and myself. This month was mine to grant, and I grant the award to Anthony Casal, who's a children's librarian, Mark McGinley, who's our communications specialist, and Deb Vitrelli, who's our marketing specialist. Specifically, we had a little ceremony this morning in the lobby of City Hall in front of the employees, social distanced and masked accordingly. I will read a paraphrased version of the comments I made this morning, but the essence of this award is for, I would say, duty above and beyond during the pandemic, and not to suggest that we're through the pandemic, but if most of you have seen some of what these three have created, it's beyond impressive, and I wanted to recognize it. So we started with kind of a commentary about the pandemic, and then we introduced each of the winners. Anthony Casal, who's the children's service librarian. When we shut down, was Anthony no longer able to lead children's program in person? No, he wasn't. Did it stop him? Absolutely not. His passion for what he does to serve Oldsmar's children and their parents never stopped. Once city offices and buildings ground to a halt, Anthony immediately researched how he could still communicate to keep our library customers happy and engaged. Through diligent research, he discovered that he could get temporary permission from select book publishers that would allow him to read and video certain storybooks. He enlisted Mark McGinley's help, with their supervisor's approval, of course, and created the most magnificent storytime videos ever known to YouTube, of which there are currently 26. The first one was published on April 2nd, also an accomplishment in itself for how quickly this went from concept to reality. One of them is known as The City That Talks, which is based on a book published by the Florida League of Cities that Anthony kind of made his own and did a presentation on that. The reason that's significant is because that was actually focused on in the last issue of Quality Cities magazine, which we're very proud about. These videos have been a huge success and have had over 2,250 views. I fully encourage anybody, kid or adult, if you haven't seen these, go look at them. I'm a big kid, which most of my people know. I've watched every one of them more than once. They're that impressive. As if that weren't enough, the Mark and Anthony joint video project did not end there. 7 videos also were created of what's called Rhyme Time with Mr. Anthony, and it was launched on July 27th. He teaches rhymes with specific body movements, sort of like the Macarena for kids or the Hokey Pokey. You have to see it. That is not all of it still. He also produced 14 episodes of an online quiz show in coordination with the Tampa Bay Library Consortium. You can learn all sorts of interesting facts that you had no idea you needed to know. This all makes him an official Oldsmar YouTube star. Anthony, you are extremely talented, as we expressed to him, and we thanked him for his truly bright light and what he's brought to our community during very tough times. Mark McGinley, who's the center on your screen, our communications specialist. Mark's skills and initiative are incredible and impossible to measure. In addition to elevating the Experience Oldsmar magazine, which hopefully most of you have, into a coffee table style magazine for 6,452 households on our mailing list, his video production and photography skills are tremendous assets for the city of Oldsmar. While he was in the weeds producing the June edition of the magazine, he also made time to team with Anthony and launch a full-scale video production that led to those YouTube film clips that have taken the internet by storm, or our portion of it anyway. He tirelessly worked on both major projects to ensure the highest quality. Seeing his video capabilities has certainly opened the eyes of management, council as well, since his production of the video clips to support the mayor's face-off challenge will attest. Other cities our size could not even dream of producing video and photography of this caliber. Not only did he create the Mr. Anthony videos, he worked with our elected officials, as I just mentioned, to make the face-off challenge both exceptional and professional. And wait till you see the next edition of the magazine. Spoiler alert, all I can say is we're going to the dogs. With the content and editorial support of Deb Vitrelli, our marketing specialist, the magazine is expanding and keeps getting better. That's possible. We should all be proud to present these products that reflect the modern professionalism of Oldsmar. Thank you, Mark, for upping our game in the graphics and the production arena. Finally, Deb Vitrelli, who's on the right side of your screen, along with the endless routine, daily work, Deb Vitrelli, who's our marketing specialist, was quickly entrenched in COVID-19 activities and may be the unsung hero in this whole pandemic thing. She participates in daily conference Zoom calls with her peer communications professionals to ensure Oldsmar's community members are kept well informed. She promotes executive orders, city operational changes, CDC guidance, county guidelines, new incentive programs, Oldsmar's new virtual programs like the Face Off Mass Challenge, and much, much more. She independently created a COVID-19 comprehensive resource site on the city's website, myoldsmar.com. The site serves as a one-stop resource for residents and businesses here in Oldsmar. It has dozens of online resources to help in the time of COVID. The resources are nicely and professionally packaged in the following categories: executive orders, consumer economic support, business economic support, health resources, special support, virtual wellness opportunities, activities for both adults and kids, and educational resources. The layout and categories make it easy to find what you are looking for and browse different opportunities. This online resource is truly fantastic and beyond any of my expectations. Through her persistent efforts, her nickname is Buzz, after all, the city has experienced increased engagement in social media and visits to the website. We now have 16,592 Facebook followers and about 13,000 monthly visits to the website. There is a reason I call her Buzz, and her added dedication during COVID is both inspiring and greatly appreciated. You see someone's character best in a time of crisis. These 3 staff members have been diligent, professional, and persistent. They saw an opportunity to serve our customers better than before during a time when people need hope and inspiration. Even though this award goes to these 3, I told them this morning that they represent our employees in general, the great employees of this city. Their character shows leadership and resilience, and we all should be proud of the work they have done. If you haven't seen any of these videos, which I briefly mentioned 14 times before, you need to. If you haven't looked at the website with your pandemic hat on, or mask on more appropriately, you should. The quality of the product coming out of this organization is amazing and somehow continues to get better. Congratulations to Anthony, Mark, and Buzz. Thank you.
That's an excellent choice. I'll tell you what, I look at that, that's one of our dream teams right there, it looks like. The quality in which they have put out Anthony's videos, when I see him, I'm tempted to ask him for a signature, autograph. And Mark's work, certainly, we all up here know firsthand recently with the Face-Off Challenge.
I was astounded at his
Yeah, when
talent.
I saw the video from the time I worked on it, I'm like, wow, I didn't do that well.
Made me look good.
And of course, Deb always is there. She's brought a lot to the city since she joined us. So congratulations to all 3 of them. All right, next item on the agenda is the Community Redevelopment Agency. And I know it's not an agenda item, but we discussed this the other day, and this would be the appropriate place. We talked about getting an update as it related to the negotiations on the hotel, the property in the town center with Simone Development Group. So I'm going to ask Al if you would mind giving us a little update as to where we're at right now.
Sure, Mayor. We are in negotiations with the developer. I would best describe them as frustrating, but we're still plugging away. I am to the point where, since council ranked all of the potential developers, we've got to make a decision at some point soon as to whether or not we're going to be able to finalize an agreement with the developer. My position as the lead negotiator is that I'm to the point where we're preparing our best and final, and we'll present that to them when it's ready. And depending on how it goes from that particular meeting, may or may not formulate whether we come back to you with a development agreement or I come back to you with a recommendation to move on.
Okay? All right. When do you think that we'll present that to them? Do you know yet?
Well, they have been pressing for consistent meetings. I took a step back after the last counter that they gave us in writing because we wanted to study it hard and kind of evaluate, whether we're as far as we're going to be able to go. So we will have something in writing prepared for them probably next week, and my guess is we'll probably be meeting with them very shortly after that. Now, I have a medical procedure at the end of next week, so I'm going to say the next meeting would likely either be prior to that or the beginning of the following week, somewhere, maybe as soon as the 10th, maybe as late as the 15th.
Okay.
At which point,
So our
the
next
results of that,
We'll come back. So our next meeting is the 15th, I believe.
correct. I will try to at least have that answered in time to present that to you so we don't drag it on, because whatever has to happen has to come back to you. Now, if it's positive and we have the conceptual understanding that formulates the basis for the details to a development agreement, that comes back to you anyway. I doubt we're going to have that completed, even if that meeting goes well, but I'll be able to tell you whether we've essentially got an understanding that's going to lead to an agreement. If I'm not, and we've met before the time when the agenda has to be completed, I'll have an agenda item asking you for guidance on, based on my recommendation of what to do next.
Okay, because it was my intent to add under the tentative agenda that as a line item. If you're going to add that, I won't do that later. I think all of us have spoken to the city manager, our one-on-ones have gotten updated, as well as to our city attorney, who is also part of that negotiation team.
Yes.
I will tell you where I'm at with it right now. And I hope this does not prove to be the case. I'm ready to move on. And I don't say that lightly. They're a local company. I know they've invested a considerable amount of money to get to the point where they're at. But I also feel that based on the feedback that the meetings are not producing progress. To some extent, it sounds like they're going the wrong direction. And we've got cities all around us that are getting deals done. There's no reason why we shouldn't be either, other than if we have a partner, that might be a mistake. And I have grown extremely impatient, pandemic or no pandemic. I don't believe that that's a viable excuse. And so it's going to be my urging, if we don't, at the next meeting, that we take that action if the results that come back aren't favorable. I mean, it's time to cut bait, move on. We're not going to find ourselves in the same position that the city has in the past, where we've danced with somebody and came up with nothing. And that's just not going to be the case. It's not acceptable. This council has worked too hard on this project. Our city staff has worked too hard on this project. And so that's where I'm at with it. We'll have it as an agenda item then and discuss it, but just making it clear for the record so that it doesn't come as a surprise to anybody when that comes. Anyone disagree with me on that?
I feel very similarly, Mayor. I have been extremely discouraged by some of the feedback that I got, especially from our city attorney, as to how the negotiations have been going. Specifically, the back and forth that essentially has been moving further apart from a deal as opposed to moving closer together. That's been discouraging. And I feel like the pandemic was actually an opportunity to focus down, and really get something in writing. I've been also discouraged with the length of time that it took to get the site plans together and a lot of the back and forth and the city time that went into that. So I feel similarly. If we can't get an agreement with this kind of last, final, best offer, I'm ready to move on.
I don't want to repeat what Katie said, but my conversation with Mr. Trask, that really made my decision that we probably do need to move on.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it just appears to me that even some of I wasn't on the council at the time when those pitches were originally made, but I was here in the audience at the time and listening. And based on the feedback I've gotten, it seems as though some of the overtures that were made as part of those pitch, as part of what Councilmember Gannon said about growing distance in between. Those things are falling apart.
Yeah, I mean, very clearly, I mean, it was, and I could tell you, because I was here and ranked them, one of the key factors was the fact of what they were offering to pay for the $200,000 a year towards
Certainly.
the parking garage and the spaces that would be required, which mitigates them from having to pay for parking. I know that the city staff has come up with a bunch of alternatives for them. And so, look, let's hope that that's not the case, but there's, let's put that out there. That's where we're at. And hopefully we won't need to go there. But in any event, thank you, sir. I appreciate the update. All right, next item on the agenda is the consent docket, which will be announced by our city clerk. Ann Nixon.
Item number 2, request council approval of COVID-19 FEMA sub-grant agreement. And item number 3, approve minutes of the August 18, 2020 city council meeting.
Thank you. Does anybody wish to pull anything from the consent docket? Sensing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved, Gannon.
Second.
Second, Knapp. Any discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the City of Oldsmar. Item number 4, presentation of Purple Heart Day proclamation, which will be presented by our Vice Mayor, Ms. Gannon.
Thank you, Mayor. It is my distinct privilege to present this proclamation this evening. I'm going to read it from up here, and then I'll put my mask on and come down there.
I'll come down too.
Whereas on August 7th, 1782, then Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army, George Washington, established the Badge of Military Merit, which was awarded to only 3 Revolutionary War soldiers for brave military service. And whereas on February 22nd, 1932, the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, President Hoover revived the Badge of Military Merit as the Purple Heart. And whereas the Purple Heart is specifically a combat decoration and is awarded to members of the United States Armed Forces who are wounded or killed in combat. And whereas it is estimated that at least 1.9 million Purple Hearts have been bestowed upon the brave men and women of the United States military. And whereas Florida is proud to be home to a large population of active duty service members, veterans, and their families, and is committed to serving all those who have courageously defended our country. And whereas the City of Oldsmar appreciates the sacrifices our Purple Heart recipients made in defending our freedoms and believes it is important that we acknowledge them for their courage and show them the honor and support they have earned. Now, therefore, I, Katie Gannon, Vice Mayor of the City of Oldsmar, on behalf of the Mayor, Eric Seidel, do hereby proclaim August 7th, 2020 as Purple Heart Day in the City of Oldsmar and encourage the citizens to recognize the heroic service of all who have received the Purple Heart and show their appreciation for the sacrifices our Purple Heart recipients have made in defending our freedoms, to acknowledge their courage, and to show them the honor and support they have earned. Dated this 3rd day of September 2020. Come on up. I want to welcome Mark Brill and Frank Chicolo of our Veterans Advisory Board. Please. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here tonight to accept this proclamation on behalf of our city. You smiled, right? Were you smiling? Were you smiling?
Okay, just,
Let's see. This thing. There you go.
no, just put it over there or use that one.
Use this one. Take your time. You've earned it, sir.
Okay. Well, let me go to mask for you. Fast finger or something.
You can remove the mask, right?
No, we're good.
Yes,
Okay.
great.
Okay, I want to thank Mayor Seidel and all city council members for bestowing this great honor on the city of Oldsmar by proclaiming once again the city of Oldsmar as a Purple Heart city. It's a wonderful tribute to the men and women who were wounded or killed during combat with the enemy. As a Purple Heart recipient myself and Frank, we accept this proclamation on behalf of all Purple Heart recipients. We need to remember that freedom is not free and that all gave some gave all, and some are still giving. Thank you all very much. God bless America.
Thanks so much,
We are indeed very proud of all of our veterans and the fact that we are a Purple Heart city. That's one of the things that you got to love about our city. All right, item number 5, presentation of Disabled American Veterans Day proclamation. Councilmember Saraki.
Thank you, Mayor. This states, this is from the Office of the Mayor of Oldsmar, Florida, proclamation, Disabled American Veterans Day. Whereas Disabled American Veterans, DAV, was founded by World War I veterans on September 25th, 1920, and was chartered by an act of Congress on June 17th, 1932. And whereas in 2020, DAV celebrates 100 years of serving veterans of the armed forces, their families and survivors and communities. And whereas DAV is dedicated to a single purpose, empowering veterans to lead high-quality lives with respect and dignity. And whereas DAV provides free professional assistance to veterans and their families in obtaining benefits and services provided by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and other agencies. And whereas DAV also provides outreach concerning its programs and services to the American people generally and to disabled veterans and their families specifically, and whereas DAV represents the interests of disabled veterans, their families, their widowed spouses, and their orphans before the federal government, as well as state and local governments, and has fought tirelessly for equal access to critical VA caregiver benefits and services for disabled veterans of all generations, and whereas DAV, Department of Florida, and the 65 chapters across the state demonstrate their unending commitment to ill and injured veterans of all generations and conflicts, and whereas the City of Oldsmar is proud to honor the members of the Disabled American Veterans. Now, therefore, I, Council Member Dan Saraki, for Eric Seidel, Mayor of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, do hereby proclaim September 25th, 2020 as Disabled American Veterans Day in the City of Oldsmar and commend its observance to all citizens. Dated today, the 3rd of September, Eric Seidel, Mayor.
Before I take that, I'd like to introduce Andy Marshall. He's the executive director. He's also the adjutant for the state of Florida, and he's also a national officer. But he lives in Palm Harbor, and his office is in Gainesville, so he does a lot of traveling.
Well, we'll accept him as ours. It's okay.
Thank you.
And he's behind all these vehicles you see, transporting all these injured veterans to the hospitals and to the clinics. That's us. That's the DAV that does that.
That's great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, as a two-time Purple Heart recipient, I appreciate Purple Heart Day also. We've done it for several years here. City of Oldsmar, very patriotic. I noticed your Memorial Day ceremony is awesome, as well as other ceremonies you have here. You truly support veterans, and we appreciate it. And thank you to the City of Oldsmar. Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
And I do have some 100-year commemorative coins I will leave for you all here. These are wonderful.
Oh, wow.
Esther, come on up.
Thank you.
Drinks are
No such thing as not shaking hands, but,
Yes.
you know.
Smile, everyone.
Smile with your eyes. Smile with your eyes.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. What's that? Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
You gonna take it back?
No. Goodness, no.
Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you for your service. I'll tell you, as he was just saying, the thing about you love about Oldsmar is that we do respect our veterans, and we hold them in high esteem. I'll tell you, I appreciate the hard work of our Veterans Affairs Advisory Board as well. I know we're all, because of the social distancing, missing the ceremonies that we've had with Veterans Day, Memorial Day, all the types of opportunity for us to come together and show our respect. I was proud of that. This is the kind of city we are, that a group of strangers, when we couldn't do Memorial Day, came together and on their own
Who was that?
put American flags all over the city. I think there was like 300 of them. We had a bunch of them here, but that's how we feel about our veterans, and we realize freedom is not free. So thank you once again. All right. Next item on the agenda: approve appointment of Jackson Settle as ex officio teen member of the Leisure Services Advisory Board. Where's Jackson at? Here. Come on up here. All right. So Jackson, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Jackson Settle. I am in high school right now, and I'm a homeschooler. I have lived 11 wonderful years here in this awesome city, and I've enjoyed every single minute of it. And I believe that Oldsmar is like one of the best cities in Florida, and it's going to be an honor to serve. When I get appointed, thank you.
Well, we're excited that you stepped up and want to serve. I'll tell you, I think one of the part about the teen ex officio role that we have, it's an excellent opportunity for young people to get involved and start a career of service early. And so we're proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
Any council members have anything?
Welcome aboard. You're going to love it. The Leisure Services Board is
Fantastic
fun.
speaker. I think you might be running for your job soon.
That's right. I think the mayor's in trouble.
Right?
No, it's not you guys who are in trouble. No one's in trouble because I'm going to join you guys. I mean,
There you go.
make Oldsmar better.
There you go.
Fantastic. It's
All right.
wonderful to have you up here.
Thank you for stepping up. Thank you for stepping up. All right, the chair will entertain a motion to approve. I have a
Second.
motion and I have a second. Is there any discussion? Since you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying Jackson.
Jackson.
All right, motion
aboard.
passes. Congratulations.
Much.
Thank you.
I am more than ready to serve.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well,
Thank you.
thank you, young man. Good job. Good job. All right, next item on the agenda, approve appointment of Sherry McCullers as alternate member of the Code Enforcement Board. Now, I don't believe she is here this evening. As you know, that we've waived that requirement due to social distancing guidelines by the CDC and so forth. So at this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Any discussion?
We will
Thank you
her
for
when we
stepping
see her.
up.
Yeah, we will
Thank
thank her
you
when
for
we see
stepping
her.
up. All right, sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item number 8, 2020 Local Mitigation Strategy, LMS Annual Status Report. And I know staff is coming up. Marie is making her way.
I'm so excited.
I know you are. And I believe you're going to roll right into number 9, which is Adopt 2020 Pinellas County Local Mitigation Strategy.
Well, with council's permission, I'd like to start with number 9 first and then go back to 8.
You are, I don't think anyone object to that?
No.
I didn't think they did.
Okay, so the local mitigation strategy is a document that identifies potential hazards that may strike our community. The strategy includes an assessment of the areas vulnerable to various hazards and identifies possible action that can mitigate potential damage in the future. And in order for the mitigation to be successful, we need to take action now before the next disaster strikes. Additionally, an approved LMS also is required to receive federal disaster funding. So it was developed, the local mitigation strategy was developed by an LMS working group. It was created in 1998. And the city of Oldsmar has been a participant since its inception. Other participants include the local government, municipalities, hospitals, colleges, and private sector representatives. So FEMA requires local jurisdictions to perform a comprehensive update of the local mitigation strategy every 5 years. So this is our 4th update. The first one was in 2004, next one's 2010. Currently we're at 2015. And so this 4th update was, the stress was, it was stressed that we should have more public input. So additional local representatives were required for the representative stakeholders of Oldsmar. And I'd like to recognize Paula Saraki, business owner and resident, and Doug Beavis, resident and realtor. They agreed to be part of these stakeholder meetings. And so for the average person, they were pretty dry, I'm sure. But it's really important that we had these additional representatives from like the city to garner more points with the LMS and the CRS program. So the Pinellas County LMS Working Group began the efforts to update the LMS in 2019 with the assistance of the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council and a consulting firm. The completed draft was sent to the Florida Department of Emergency Management for review, and comments were received. And the revised LMS was forwarded to Florida Department of Emergency Management and approved pending adoption by the local government. So tonight, staff is requesting that you adopt the resolution adopting the new updated 5-year LMS. And so we will transmit it to Pinellas County. So do you have any questions on that?
Are there any questions?
Nope, the mayor.
All right, since we're taking item number 9 and it does require adoption, the chair will entertain a motion to adopt. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
The motion and a second. Any further discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes.
All right, so this is a status update of the LMS. So
I heard
because-
that it was adopted.
Yes.
Recently.
That's the status.
But we're
Recently.
going with the 2015 LMS. So we're kind of going backwards in this case. And so we're required every year to present an update or a status report of the LMS document. And so we've participated in the community rating system since 1992, and it's a point system. We receive points for the CRS by having this local mitigation strategy plan and keeping it updated. So we are just requesting that you accept the status update. There's projects included in the packet that show, what kind of mitigation efforts that the city has completed. Some are pending, some are, in the future, and so that's all we're asking at this time.
Okay. Then the chair will entertain a motion to accept the 2020 Local Mitigation Strategy Annual Status Report.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a second. Any further discussion?
Great job.
Sensing you're ready to vote? Was there discussion? I'm sorry, the train starts. It's an important subject, but Vice Mayor.
So I understand we're a class 6.
Yes.
And I heard Safety Harbor was an 8. Is that true?
Yes, I believe
What's
so.
Dunedin?
I'd have to look it up. You can go on the FEMA's website and you can see all the classes.
I just
for
like to
each.
do better, that's all.
Well, also a little bit of information. The new maps are going to be going through the review period starting in January 2021. We'll have 6 months to either, comment or I guess maybe object, but they plan to adopt them in June. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
And that represents for us a lot of challenges, yes, and if you look at the maps, and
Yeah.
we've had discussions with Mike Twitty about this. I know property appraiser has been all over it. It's going to represent some challenges for the city of Oldsmar. I'm the secretary of the Pinellas County Mayor's Council, and we've had presentations on this. And every time they put it up on the board, Oldsmar is by far getting hit with this the most out of any city in Pinellas County.
I think the development community is well aware of all the issues that are going to happen, once the maps are adopted, but they're very creative, and we've talked to them about a lot of different things. So hopefully it's not going to be too negative as far as development.
And of course, I argue with everyone who comes in there and makes the presentation that insurance rates should be based on history, because we do all insurance based on history, and but that they don't listen to me.
We just keep working towards it, so.
Keep trying. All right. There was a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. All opposed? Motion passes. All right, next item on the agenda, acting city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. At the August 4th, 2020 council meeting,
Do you have a microphone over there?
should it be read?
Yes.
I got it reversed.
There you go. That's all
Okay.
right. Thank you.
So at the August 4th, 2020 City Council meeting, council authorized the city attorney to prepare an ordinance which would allow golf carts on city streets within the city of Oldsmar city limits and to define where golf carts are prohibited. I'll go ahead and read the title of that ordinance. It's Ordinance 2020-11, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar amending Article 4 use of golf carts upon designated city streets of Chapter 66 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oldsmar, to authorize golf carts to be operated on all city streets, to prohibit golf carts to be operated on the Oldsmar Trail and all other places as otherwise prohibited by law, providing for severability and providing for an effective date hereof.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. We first take a report from staff.
The city's technical review committee reviewed the ordinance recently and would like for the city council to consider some streets to be excluded based on the roadway speed or the roadway volume or the roadway characteristics of traffic, such as a high volume of heavy truck traffic. I've consulted with our attorney and we would like to bring this list back at the second reading for council consideration so it doesn't slow down the process. And in addition, it was also recommended to remove the $10 fee as expressed in the ordinance, but it's also expressed in the fee schedule. So it was recommended that that be removed at second reading as well.
Excellent. Any questions of staff? Thank you, Felicia.
Thank you.
All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody from the public who wishes to speak on this? Seeing that there's none, I'll close the public hearing at this time. At this time, the chair, for the purpose of discussion, chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion by Knapp, seconded by
Gannon.
Vice Mayor Gannon. Discussion.
Super excited.
Very excited, very excited.
One of those changes was me. Sorry.
What did we change, the $10 fee? I'm sorry.
Aces every time.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I just wanted us to not have the $10 set in there. Rather, it's a set payment of an annual registration fee set by resolution. That way we can change it up, change it down, do whatever is necessary, depending on
Very good.
the situation. So we're not stuck with a 2-hearing step to change it, you know what I mean? To change the ordinance.
I don't know, that came from the vice mayor.
That-
Any other discussion?
That was my change.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Sensing you're ready to vote, roll call, please.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember Knapp?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Seidel?
Yes.
First reading of ordinance 2020-11, amending Chapter 66 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oldsmar to authorize golf carts to be operated on all city streets and to prohibit golf carts to be operated on the Oldsmar Trail and all other places as otherwise prohibited by law. Passes with 4 votes for and 0 against, with the understanding that the list of streets and other changes will be revised for the next reading.
Thank you. Item number 11.
Mayor, council members, item number 11 is also a public hearing. It is a item to approve architectural renderings and concept plan and to consider a variance for 3919 Tampa Road, request for height variance from 35 feet to 75 feet, and a parking variance from 358 spaces to 220 spaces. Because a part of this item is quasi-judicial in nature, we'll follow the council's quasi-judicial process, and that'll start with, if everyone who's going to be providing testimony would stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. And with that, we'll begin with staff presentation.
Thank you.
Marie Dauphiné, Planning and Redevelopment Director. And of course, I'm going to show you a short PowerPoint.
Prepared.
So the property is located at 3919 Tampa Road. It's in the corner of Tampa Road and Gimgong Road. It was formerly the GSA building. The zoning and land use is residential, office, retail, and it's also located along the Tampa Road corridor. So in 2018, we came before council, and the applicant proposed to convert the existing office building into a medical office and construct a 6,130 square foot center along Tampa Road. And construct a 12,000 square foot apartment behind the medical office building. And then he also was going to provide enhanced landscaping along Tampa Road and Gimgong Road. So this request revised the concept plan. He's proposing a 44,650 square foot 6-story building, a 3-level robotic parking garage, and the existing building renovated into a medical office to remain, and he's going to provide enhanced landscaping. He's keeping within the floor area ratio and the impervious surface ratio. So that is a a picture of the elevation of the building. You can see the first floor is administration and med spa on the first floor. The call center is on the second floor. Telemedicine is on the third, fourth, and fifth floors, and there's a cafeteria and guest rooms on the top floor. And there's another elevation showing, what's occurring at each level. He also has kind of a swoop on the roof line. This is going to kind of hide all the electrical equipment, mechanical equipment. So he's also considering a heliport at that building roof line. Here's another elevation. So as I said, he's proposing a robotic parking garage. It'll be 3 levels, and there'll be 180 cars and ADA compliant. So we're just showing a short video.
I literally went online and looked this up.
Did you already see the video?
That's all right.
What is a robotic parking?
This is short, so.
That's coming home tomorrow.
Pretty crazy.
It'll be helpful for me because I'm not a very good park person.
Look at that, huh?
It's kind of hypnotic. This is an elevation view of the existing recently renovated building. It's a 2-story. You can see it if you go by there. So as we said, there's 2 variance requests. The first variance request is to increase the height of a building from 35 feet to 75 feet. And also to reduce the required number of parking spaces from 358 spaces to 220 spaces. So the justification for the parking reduction is, since it's primary telehealth and the code requires medical office to have 6 spaces per 1,000, but it's going to be telehealth with no, patients coming there, obviously. So he's requesting that we use the 4 per 1,000 requirement for parking. So that will leave it at 220 spaces. And staff feels that that is, consideration, and especially because of the parking garage. So, so staff is supporting this variance. The next variance, the height variance, we believe will not be detrimental to the surrounding properties. This property is fronting on Tampa Road, a 6-lane divided highway. It's located within the Tampa Road corridor. It's located directly across from the town center commercial residential zoning district, which also permits 75 feet in height. So it wouldn't really stick out. And it also is in close proximity to the industrial plan development category, and that's developed currently with a Hampton Inn. And that's approximately 65 feet, but you can go up to 80 feet in that zoning district. So staff is recommending approval of the conceptual site plan and building architecture for the proposed new 6-story medical building. The site plan is actually going to occur, staff's going to be reviewing this. This is only concept, it's only for the architecture, so we will be working with that. But the applicant needed to have some kind of assurance that, he was not going to be spending a lot of money on plans that if we were just going to deny the look of the building. And as far as the variance request to increase the height of the building from 35 to 75 feet and reduce the required number of parking spaces from 358 spaces to 220 spaces, staff is supporting those variances as well. However, we're going to link the actual architectural design and the building to the variance request. Usually it runs with the land, but we are saying that the variance approvals are contingent on the submission and approval of a final site plan that is very similar to what was shown tonight. And if there's any substantial changes, then they'll have to come back to the city council. So it's got to be, the variance approval has to be linked to this building. And I would like to enter the staff report into the record, and if there's any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Does, who has questions for staff?
First.
Vice Mayor.
Just a sort of obvious one. I'm assuming that there would be certain approvals required in order to land a helicopter on top of a building, like from the FAA and.
Yes, exactly.
And here, I know we're important and all, but.
That's not, that's just a concept he's just considering. I don't think that we'll really know until, during final site plan and during design and everything. He'd have to meet FAA regulations. Currently, the code does permit heliports in the MUPD, the Mixed Urban Plan Development District, as well as the IPD, the Industrial Plan Development. But it's silent as far as the ROR. So it doesn't say it's, prohibited, but we might have to amend the code to include that, or the attorney might be able to help us determine whether we would need to.
Well, this is nothing that I was asked to look at, but generally speaking, the law is that where your code speaks to allowing something like this in some districts but not others, that it's not allowed in those other districts. So we would either need to amend the code or in some way authorize it to be here.
Okay, so that would come back.
So that would come back as probably a variance, I would assume.
Another variance, okay.
No, not a variance, it would be a text amendment to include that under the permitted uses.
Got it.
Okay.
And staff may need to consider things like not just the FAA part of it, but noise generation and will that impact the community around, those sorts of things before it gets approved.
Thank you.
Thank you for including the height data for the other districts nearby. That was going to be one of my questions. I appreciate the PowerPoint presentation, Marie. Thank you.
Councilmember Knapp.
Thank you, Mayor. Marie, per the parking structure, in order to meet that parking requirement that we are going to be voting on, will either this robotic structure or some traditional structure be necessary in order to meet that limit?
Yes. He's going to have 185 spaces, I believe, in the robotic structure. And then there's going to be surface parking, the handicap parking spaces. Oh, I forgot to mention, too, as far as the robotic parking, from the medical building, there's going to be like a pedestrian bridge to the 2-story building that's currently under development. And from that building to the robotic parking, there's also a pedestrian bridge. So people aren't going to have to walk in the, in the driveways or the, parking areas. They can just access them through the pedestrian bridges.
Okay, and then the next question would be that it is described as being a 3-level structure, but by looking at the renderings, I see a 2 at ground level. So will it be below grade, the first level of the robotic
I've only
mechanism?
seen
That
like
might be-
renderings.
That might be, yeah, because if you're not able to answer it, then we'll save that question for the applicant.
Architect, yeah.
Fair enough.
And then just the final question relative to parking as well, and in terms of determining that number. In the proposal, there's mention of guest rooms on the top floor as well as a med spa still being existing on the first floor. So was that taken into consideration in terms of setting that number?
Yes, for the total parking, yes. Because it's per 1,000, so they did it based on the 44,000 square feet of the building, 44 plus. And we went with 4 per 1,000, the regular office requirement for parking, as opposed to the medical. Because medical assumes you're going to have patients coming in and out, but since it's telehealth, you're not going to have that.
Well, it's telehealth for 4 out of the 6 floors, so there's still 2 floors where there could be increased traffic, so just a comment. But that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
I have nothing, Mayor.
I do have some questions, and some of them have been asked. One was, as it related to the heliport versus helipad. My assumption is the intent for this was to be a pad versus a port, because in the renderings it says heliport. And of course, the difference between the two is heliport is like an airport for helicopters. So, okay, I just wanted to confirm that because it didn't look like you had a lot of room on there to be parking choppers. So I thought Oldsmar's going into a whole new direction now, all right? And I'll save this question for one of those questions for the applicant. This is probably an applicant question. Actually, all of mine are for the applicant itself. All right, if there's no other questions, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll hear from the applicant. Applicant? Gummy.
Again, Peter Gottschalk. You're absolutely right. It's drawn as a 2-story building. At one point, we were trying to accommodate the spaces in 2-story, but we couldn't meet the setbacks. So even though it's 3-level, it won't be any higher than the existing 2-story building because in robotic parking, the levels are much lower than required for a standard parking structure. And if you've ever had to drive up one of these ramps to get to a parking space, if there even is one, you'd appreciate what it's like to use robotic parking, where you simply drive into a finished garage and turn your car over to the capable hands of a robot, which brings it back to you when you ask for it. You're absolutely right also, it's a helipad. It's a term, and we don't want this approval to hang on that. It's something we'd like to have. The developer, Mr. Usman, who's right here, as we may not have mentioned in the description, originally they thought that the business would be housed in the 2-story building, but it's grown so rapidly, especially the telemedicine part of it, and even more especially the psychological aspect. There's a tremendous shortage of psychological treatments centers all over the state. They're developing 15, 16 satellite offices now. We're working on another one as we speak. The goal is to have 50 of them spread around the state. So a helicopter would be a nice way for Mr. Usman to be able to travel around and see what's going on. He and his wife is the chief MD for psychology in the facility, very committed to Oldsmar. They live here. They're excited to be part of this, as I am, effort to make the Tampa Road Corridor a model city corridor. So we look forward to moving ahead on it. it's a commitment of at least $14 to $16 million. So it's not a small effort. I'm sure that's making him squirm right now, but he knows that.
I hope
He is squirming.
I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Are you done with the presentation? Questions?
I had no questions of the applicant.
Very good. Councilmember.
What will the guest rooms be used for?
Well, there's one room which is actually for a caretaker, somebody who's there all the time. The other would be for visiting doctors, who would then also be able to use the cafeteria, which cafeteria, by the way, is for the staff. It's not for people coming in from the outside.
Understood.
He'd like to keep people on site so they don't have to get in their cars, drive to a restaurant, come back, blah, blah, blah. And there will be meetings with visiting doctors and scientists from time to time, and they'll have a place to stay up there. It's not a public hotel or anything like that.
Understood.
And you want to have people flying in to eat at the... Do you have any other questions?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, the applicant answered all my questions.
Okay, I had a few questions. Do you have an idea in terms of what you're envisioning in terms of number of full-time employees when built out? Come on up. Good to see you again. Could you state your name for the record too, please?
Yes, sir.
Could you state your name for the record too?
My name is Oldsmar. Thank you very much for letting me explain my case. I'm CEO of two healthcare companies. One is Health and Psychiatry. The other one is Global Health Choices. I would like to start. I'm a very proud president of Oldsmar. I live in SJ of Mobley Bay. And that was the first house I bought in the United States. So I'm a very proud president of Oldsmar. We started our company in 2009, and I'm very proud to say it was a one small office. When my wife became a psychiatrist, she's a graduate of Northwestern Chicago, which is one of the best psychiatry programs in the world. I myself am a mechanical engineer. I have an MBA in marketing, and I have a second master's in human resources. So I was working in the auto industry, being an engineer and MBA. And I started doing consulting in a healthcare company with Dr. K, Dr. K. Patel, who sold WellCare and Freedom. So he taught me managed care side and I learned it very quickly. When my wife graduated, I asked her that I go and teach doctors how to run a managed care program. Why don't we start our company? So I still remember in 2009, April 15, we took one room to start our practice in Dunedin Meads Hospital. So then after that, I started working on telemedicine. I designed the most authentic telemedicine primary care system in 2012. Why I couldn't launch it? Because there was no laws approved. Everybody was talking. When I used to tell my doctor friends, they used to make fun out of me. What are you talking about? Now, whole world talk about tele. Now all these doctors call me that we should have listened to you. So in 2016, in the state of Florida, the parity law passed for the telemedicine. So I waited a few years. Right? I went to different other countries. I gave presentation to 5 different head of states about telemedicine. And in 2017, we started telepsychiatry. Right? So means we are way ahead of game. I'm not doing tele because of COVID. This was my game plan and model. So we raised our company to a very different level. Then in 2017, I bought this building. I still remember I came to the city council, got my first site plan approved. Right? That was the time I was trying to build the infrastructure and company. Health and Psychiatry is so proud to inform City Council and Honorable Mayor that since January 2020, we have opened 8 locations.
Very good.
Right? Because I went out with my model, right? Because of COVID, there's more depression, more anxiety, and more panic. We were getting phone calls from all over states. So I have opened an office in Ocala, Lake Wales, Lakeland, Wesley Chapel, St. Pete, Port Richey, Spring Hill. Next month, I'm going to Panama, north of Florida, opening 2 places over there. And by the end of this year, we will have 15 locations. I have already hired a primary care doctor. He's a board certified, working as a chief medical officer for a very big hospital. He's moving especially to Tampa. So you should feel very proud that I'm starting one of the biggest telemedicine program right from the Tampa Road, right? We will be expanding all over. We are opening 25 international locations. Sometimes there are hurdles, right? Just to give an example, like a Medicaid has different telemedicine laws than Medicaid, right? Private, so nobody is talking to each other. Everybody has their own. So we go, we fight, we discuss, we try to remove the kinks. So sometimes process is a little slow. Then so far, so I don't have a partner except my wife. I don't have an investor, right? So it's a lot of money going out. But this is my goal. I don't have kids. It's me, my wife, and my one German Shepherd who is my son, right? So my projects are like my babies. I built one of the finest nail salon on Tampa Road, Piranha Nail Lounge. If you pass by the Tampa Road, see what I have built. I will highly encourage or request that some of you and all of you visit. I'm building a Taj Mahal of healthcare. I have put more than $1.5 million inside the renovation. Why? There's a reason. In psychiatry, there's no medical equipment. We don't do surgeries. Our environment is our medical equipment, right? So if you see, I have put amazing stuff inside. It looks like a Ritz-Carlton, not a psychiatry office, right? The concept is when the patient is paying the same $20 copay, right? So why to go to an office who is not giving an appointment for next 30 days or 90 days, and the office doesn't look nice and smells bad, right? I've seen some of the psychiatry offices, I don't want to pinpoint their names. As far as the helipad is concerned, because we were expanding so much, it won't be easy for me and my directors and managers. We need to go and inspect. I'm helping government of United States, and especially Medicare, in reducing hospitalization, right? Because a lot of people, when they are suicidal or homicidal, they go to ER, they are staying there, somebody's paying for that.
Sure.
It's a great concept. If you have any technical question, which I am here.
Okay, let me get back to the questions that I
Yes,
had.
sir.
All right, so the first question I had is, what do you envision here at that location in the way of number of employees
I can tell
or
you.
staff?
When we build the front building,
Built out.
right?
Yes.
After build up, it will be around 125 to 140.
Excellent. And you may not have a number for this, but do you have any idea in terms of what you would envision in terms of daily visitors? The number of daily visitors?
There's no visitors in this.
No, I'm
building.
talking about even your staff. I mean, you have 140 people who are visiting daily, right? I don't know if you have any other with visiting doctors and that type of stuff, or you
Some
incorporating
people
it
come
in
for
there?
the meetings and all that stuff, other healthcare organizations, insurance companies. But no, means our concept is all tally. We have a little med spa there, maybe a lane lounge, where these are my unique concepts. This is not my money-making machine, this is my passion, right?
Well, I could tell. Listen, I remember the original presentation when we were talking about, and I have a great deal of experience in virtual companies and that kind of stuff. I think we had a conversation about it. But I mean, I love the fact that you've gone from 6,000 square feet to 44,000 square.
I must be doing
It's
something
just a pretty
right.
good sign. I
Right.
figure if you come back in another 6 months,
Yeah,
we're going to have
maybe
100,000
I
square
go
foot building
ask for
over
another
there,
variance, right?
and
I go
probably
90.
200 jobs. So I think you're going in the right direction, that's for sure. Let me ask you, if this is approved, when do you expect to have the final site plan completed?
2-3 months. I mean, that's a typical.
It's a process. I mean, I'm finishing my construction this. It will take another 2 weeks. The current building, we're building up Taj Mahal in the front. Then I signed another office in Spring Hill. Then my general contractor team is moving to Spring Hill to build me an office over there. In the meantime, Mr. Peter is doing a great job. He will start designing plans and all that stuff. And I'm already talking to my bank and all that stuff, right? I'm pretty sure that if everything goes fine, if the permits get approved, because I have no control over the permits, right? That is between Peter and city and everybody. Right?
Yeah.
So I
That's a
think
fast
so by
process,
the
I know.
middle of sometime next year, I
Okay.
have plans to break the floor.
All right, very good, very good. And could you help me, just so I'm sure that I understand, health medi spa? What is a health medi spa?
I can tell you. In 2012, when I started my wife's practice and it started generating a little bit money so we can survive, I was looking for another concept. I've never got a facial in my whole life, right? So I went to a static conference and I came back and I designed my own med spa. Right? We do some basic procedures, laser hair removal, hydrofacial,
Okay.
all that stuff, right? And again, 50% is our client, which comes 6-7 clients a day, because they come for 1 hour, 2 hours, some other procedures which has to be done under the supervision of the doctor. And sometimes I just give out gift certificates. I use them as a little marketing tool also, right?
Sure.
I go
No, that's
out, give the
fine.
gift certificate of facial, a nail, and all that stuff.
Yeah, okay.
But my main concept is psychiatry and telemedicine primary care.
I ask only because there seems to be there seems to be a growing attraction of that niche here in Oldsmar, which is good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know we already have some good-looking people here, but you know, I'm not getting.
I can tell you why. Why are you seeing more? And let's suppose you consider this area. Westchase is like 5 to 10 minutes. East Lake, right? Palm Harbor, Safety Harbor, Oldsmar. So this has become a little center of gravity for all these people, right? It's all, whatever areas I've mentioned, they're good neighborhoods. Annual household income is better than the other areas, right? Because we check for our marketing purpose. So that is why it means.
Okay, very good. All right, are there any other questions for the applicant? None? Thank you, sir.
Right.
Thank you. All right.
I'd like to say one thing in
Sure.
conclusion. One of the things that makes this particularly, one of the things that makes this particularly appealing for me is the fit between Oldsmar and this developer. I've been an architect for a long time. I have never encountered a municipality that cares so much about the quality of a building, the architectural quality. Marie and her staff are after. Normally, it's just, engineering. Does it meet the codes, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing to it. And Usman is right. I'm also accustomed to developers or clients value engineering, taking the quality down to make it cheaper. And he runs in the other direction and improves the quality of the finishes and so forth. So it's a lot of fun for me. And thank you for your time.
You're welcome. All right. This time, the chair will entertain a motion for the purpose of discussions, entertain a motion to approve based on staff's recommendations.
So moved.
I have a motion from the vice mayor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Saraki. Discussion. Vice Mayor.
I am quite enthusiastic about this project. I am impressed by both the presentation from staff, thank you, Marie and her team, and from the applicant. I appreciate the effort to kind of stay in keeping with the Tampa Road corridor and the kind of feel of it, but then taking it like next level, out really elevating the aesthetic, and I appreciate that. I also personally appreciate the increased offerings of telemedicine, especially in the area of psychiatry. I think that's fantastic. I think the robotic parking garage is amazing. I don't think there is one anywhere near here. I think that's an amazing feature. I was a little thrown off by the heliport thing, or helipad thing. But even that, I was like, wow, yes, this city needs a building that is as beautiful as some of these renderings. I mean, we didn't really get a chance to kind of hold this up, but
It's gorgeous.
my gosh, that's gorgeous. And on top of that, what's going to be offered there is really important. I do think that the variance request for the parking spots to be considered office as opposed to medical office is appropriate. I think the height issue is not an issue for me, especially because less than a mile away, the hotel, the Hampton Inn, is right there, and it's definitely within that same, kind of aesthetic. And then I also appreciated the keeping the pond behind the building, which kind of gives it a little bit of a buffer to that sort of residential area behind there. And honestly, the improvement since it was enterprise car rental is astounding. This is the kind of development that I can get excited about, especially the applicant's last comments about going the other direction and going for, gosh, I wish Gabby were here, going the other direction and going for what really meets the architectural sort of code, what really pays homage to the look we're going for and not just what's cheap. Because we don't want to be cheap. We like this. I like this, And I look forward to the final site plans. Thank you.
Councilmember Nash.
I wish we could have a building like that right over here.
I want to see do they build hotels?
I couldn't help myself.
Well, you're not the only one who thought it, but go ahead.
I was a little on the fence at first, but after hearing presentation from staff and the applicant, feel a lot better about the project overall. Still do have a little bit of concern about the helipad relative to the residences that are close by, including myself. But if it is generally low frequency, and obviously that's not what we're voting on here, but I did feel compelled to say that. But overall, it's a beautiful building, and I wish we wind up with more in the future like that along the corridor. I think it will bring, obviously, many, many new jobs to Oldsmar, and it's beautiful. That's all I can really say. And I actually do have some experience with not quite robotic car storage, but we just launched some robotic storage at our facility. It is in a very similar vein to that, not quite the size and bulk, but still heavy duty weight. So it's impressive to see those types of things coming to Oldsmar, and just the efficiency and advances in technology are quite impressive. So
Very
looking
good.
forward.
Councilmember Saraki.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say kudos to Marie and staff. Great job, especially from a developer, architect, saying that about the city staff is really neat about our city. Other than that, I think this project is absolutely beautiful. I'm excited about the opportunity. I can't believe it's going to be a $16 million building. I love the idea of 125 to 140 employees for our city. I think this is a wonderful opportunity. I think the building is very beautiful. And I just want to say thank you for your hard work to both of you guys. Both presentations were fantastic, and thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. My only comments, I had, to stay laser focused, there are two variances before us that we're considering. Of course, the parking, reduction of parking spaces, which based on the use of the building until, it's funny, I sit back and having experienced remote companies and virtual, you really see the technology and the acceptance surpassing where the codes are still at. Like, there's some modifications that need to happen in a lot of cities that are automatic when it comes to telemedicine and those types of things, because it does change the trip count and the requirements. So I have no issue with that. Height was a concern at first, but when you zoom in and you really look at it, certainly with the TCCR being across the street. The other thing is the proximity to the town center. Sure. We've approved additional footage in that hotel location. It starts to look and take shape. It really does not stick out as something that would be sticking out. It starts to actually take shape on the corridor as an area with taller, a little bit more height to it, where it starts to blend together, and so it accomplishes what the long-term vision is. So really it fits well. As it relates to the neighbors behind the structure, I do believe not only the retention pond back there, but also the fact that the parking structure is going to be back there, which would certainly serve as a buffer. And even if you look at the units that are currently there, the way they're configured, they don't actually face that, right? And there is some distance between where Andrew lives, which I wanted to check that first, council member, just play it safe. But outside of that, I do think it's an exciting project. I love the fact that the success of the company goes from 6,000 to 44,000 square feet, as I said earlier. And so we wish them a lot of good luck on this. And certainly, kudos to staff. I would agree with them that the variance shouldn't be with the property. It stays with the site plan. And so that's a really important factor in making sure that it gets done. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, staying laser focused on your theme, since this is a quasi-judicial process, we should probably ask if there are any opponents or proponents in the audience.
Thank you. Well, I asked for comment earlier at the beginning.
And I'm keeping with your adopted quasi-judicial procedure.
Perfect, go right ahead.
Calls for.
Thank you, Rob.
Is there any member of the audience that is an opponent of the application? Okay. Is there any member in the audience who is a proponent of the application other than those who've already spoken? Okay, then Mayor, now it's back for executive action.
Thank you. At this time, the chair the chair's already entertained a motion. We have a motion and a second discussion. Sensing you're ready to vote, roll call, please.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember Nab?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Seidel?
Yes.
MA 20-01 and VAR 20-10 is approved contingent upon the submission and approval of a final site plan that is substantially the same as a conceptual site plan reviewed by City Council.
Excellent. Thank you. Congratulations. Next item, item number 12.
Mr. Mayor, council members, this is Resolution 2020-32. It is to adopt a resolution that's ratifying executive orders that have been put forward by the governor in response to COVID. I'll read the title. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, ratifying Executive Order 2020-40, which provides for virtual public meetings effective August 13th, 2020, ratifying Executive Order 2020-41, which provides for the extension of the COVID-19 state of emergency through August 24th, 2020, ratifying Executive Order 2020-42, which provides for the extension of the COVID-19 state of emergency through August 31, 2020, and providing for an effective date hereof.
Excellent. Just as a point of order, it was actually executive orders put forth by the mayor versus the governor. All right, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved?
I have a motion.
Second.
Do I have a second? I have a second. Any further discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes.
I was trying
You have
to
anything else?
I was trying to give you a promotion.
I see that. I don't want that job.
Thank you, Mayor.
I don't want that job. Thank you, sir, and thank you for stepping in here with not a lot of notice. We greatly appreciate that. Next item on the agenda, city manager, item number 13.
Thank you, Mayor. Items 13 and 14 are our tentative budget-related items and represent the reason why, as you mentioned before, the meeting is tonight was not on Tuesday as originally scheduled. So item 13 is the public hearing to adopt Resolution 2020-25, establishing a tentative millage rate of 4.05 mils for fiscal year 2021. On July 21st, City Council authorized the city manager to complete the certification of taxable value indicating a proposed millage rate of 4.05 mils to the Pinellas County property appraiser. In August, the property appraiser mailed the truth in millage or trim notices to all property owners, advising them of the city's proposed millage rate for the upcoming fiscal year. The proposed millage rate is equal to the previous year, which was also 4.05. I'd like to read the resolution in its entirety as it is budget related. Resolution 2020-25, a resolution of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, setting the tentative millage rate for the City of Oldsmar for the year beginning October 1, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021. Whereas the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida has reviewed the proposed appropriations for the City of Oldsmar for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021, and whereas in accordance with law, the Pinellas County property appraiser has certified to the City of Oldsmar a rolled back millage rate of 8460 mils, and whereas the proposed millage rate is greater than the rolled back rate by 5.3%, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, in session duly and regularly assembled as follows. Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida hereby sets the millage rate for the fiscal year beginning on October 1st, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021 at 4.05 mils. Section 2, that this resolution shall become effective immediately upon adoption, passed and adopted by the City Council of the City of Oldsmar this third day of September 2020. Mayor, that concludes the reading of Resolution 2020-25.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion by Saraki. Second?
Second.
Second by Knapp. Discussion. Seeing none. Glad we're not raising it. All right, seeing none.
goes.
Steady as she goes. Steady as she goes. Stetson, you ready to vote? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember Knapp?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Seidel?
Yes.
Resolution 2020-25 is adopted with 4 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. Item number 14.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 14 is the public hearing to adopt Resolution 2020-26, establishing a tentative budget for the fiscal year 2020-21. The proposed budget document was presented to City Council on Friday, July 17th, 2020. The budget work session was held on July 28th, 2020. Florida statutes requires a separate vote by the City Council for the adoption of a tentative budget and a tentative millage rate, with the millage rate vote happening first, which we just completed. Subsequent to the adoption of the tentative budget, a second public hearing must be conducted prior to the adoption of the final budget. The second public hearing for final adoption of the millage rate and the budget is scheduled for Tuesday, September 15th, 2020 at 7 p.m. I'd like to read the resolution in its entirety as it's budget-related. Resolution 2020-26, a resolution of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, adopting the tentative budget appropriations for the City of Oldsmar for the year beginning October 1st, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021. Whereas the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida has reviewed the proposed appropriations for the City of Oldsmar for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021, and now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, in session duly and regularly assembled as follows. Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, does hereby tentatively establish the appropriations for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021 as follows. The General Fund, $15,108,280. Public Safety Impact Fund, $182,000. Parkland Dedication Fund, $35,500. Multimodal Impact Fund, $50,500. Community Redevelopment Agency Fund, $774,600. Debt service for Veterans Memorial Park, $167,355. Debt service for Harbor Palms, $283,980. The Capital Improvement Fund, $7,905,000. The Water and Sewer Operating Fund, $8,350,000. The Water and Sewer Impact Fund, $92,000. Stormwater Utility Fund, $1,869,000. The Solid Waste Fund, $2,995,500. Total budget appropriations, $37,813,715. Section 2, that all purchase orders for materials and services that remain open at year end for fiscal year 1920 are to become supplemental appropriations in the respective departmental accounts in the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2021, unless canceled. Section 3, that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon adoption. Passed and adopted by the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, this third day of September 2020. Mayor, that concludes the reading of Resolution 2020-26.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak? Seeing none, at this time I'll close the public hearing. The chair will entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Moved.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Gannon.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Knapp. Discussion.
None other than to compliment staff again.
Budget meeting, we did great.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and just as an FYI, we had some discussion about the AV equipment, and we talked about modifying it, but apparently there are hopes that we're not going to wait till next year, that we found some money in the budget to work on that this year. So
Great.
we'll see about that, right? So, okay, sensing you're ready to vote, roll call, please.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember Knapp?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Seidel?
Yes.
Resolution 2020-26 is adopted with 4 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. Item number 15.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 15 is to request council approval to waive bid requirements and award the 2020-014-SS, which stands for Sole Source, to Icon Technologies for the purchase of variable frequency drives. The variable frequency drives, or VFD as they're known, at the reverse osmosis water treatment plant high service pump station are nearing 20 years old and need replacement. This electronic equipment allows the speed of a pump to ramp up and down, enabling the flow to vary as demands in the water distribution system change. This allows for a continuous water system pressure while optimizing electrical usage of the pumps. The technology becomes obsolete over time and requires periodic upgrades. There are 3 100 horsepower pumps and 1 smaller jockey pump at the HSP. There are plans to upgrade the jockey pump to a larger pump to better meet the increased water demands in the city since construction of the pump station. As such, this purchase will include 4 variable frequency drives of the same size in anticipation of the future pump upgrades. The city advertised this equipment through a notice of intent to sole source. The advertisement held on August 5th of 2020. No responses were received from potential alternative vendors. The equipment is budgeted in the 401 fund. The quote for the equipment is $36,997.17, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. All right, the chair will entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion by Siraki, seconded by Knapp. Discussion.
Pumps.
Need pumps.
Need pumps.
Need VFDs.
I had to look it up. I
There
really
you go.
did.
I had to look it up too.
They're tricky. They're tricky to program. I can attest to that.
Well, there you go.
But-
All right, since you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item 16, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 16, request council approval to authorize the city manager to negotiate a contract for 2020-006-RFQ professional services for the Oldsmar Town Center planning, design, and construction engineering. The city advertised an RFQ, a request for qualifications, for planning, design, and construction engineering services related to the Oldsmar Town Center project on April 24th, 2020. Statements of qualification were received from 7 firms, and the city conducted an initial evaluation committee meeting on June 18th, 2020. Additional clarifications were requested from the firms to confirm all responding firms met the minimum requested qualifications in the RFQ. A second evaluation committee meeting was held on July 9th, 2020. It was determined 3 of the 7 responding firms were non-responsive as they did not meet the minimum qualifications. The evaluation committee scored the remaining firms and determined an initial ranking. The 4 top-ranked qualified firms were asked to participate in presentations and interviews, which were held on August 12th of 2020. Following the presentations, the evaluation committee conducted a final meeting with firm known as S&ME Incorporated as the top-ranked firm. The budgetary impact is estimated to be $500,000, which is appropriated for this project in the Community Redevelopment Agency Budget Fund by council via Resolution 2020-15, and that was done at the June 16th, 2020 council meeting. That was to put the funds in place. Staff recommends approval.
Excellent, excellent. All right, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved.
The vice mayor, second, Councilmember Siraki. Any discussion? Vice Mayor.
I just had a quick question for our assistant city manager,
Sure.
if you don't mind.
Ask the city manager if it's okay.
Is it okay?
She doesn't work for us, really. He does. Go ahead.
So, Felicia, I noticed that you were a part of the ranking committee. Okay. And I recognize some of the other names on here, Kimley Horn, Stantec, like we've worked with them before, some projects with great success and some projects extremely painful, but I recognize them. And this new entity, S&ME Inc., the one that was ranked the highest, I noticed that in the 1 to 5 ranking, 1 being the low score and 5 being the higher score, there's only one number 1 on this entire chart, and it was from you for this entity, for this group, as to quality control and quality assurance. And so I was concerned what about the presentation made you rank it that way? Like what, if is there something that stuck out to you that caused you to rank that?
To rank them relatively, we can watch, I believe that the minutes from the meeting, and I think there's a video of the actual meeting available so that you could see the deliberations.
Okay.
But they just didn't approach it, if I recall, in the documentation that they first presented as strong as the other ones. So, everybody, that's why you have a selection committee, is so that you have a different perspectives at the table.
Okay. Thank you. That answers my question.
Very good. Are there any other questions?
No questions, Mayor.
All right, sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Item 17.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 17 is request council approval for work order number 9 from 2018-007 RFQ to Ardura Group Incorporated for the Water Reclamation Facility Administration Control Building, final design, permitting, and engineering services during construction. The existing control building at the city's WRF plant was constructed in 1973 and houses many critical functions to the continuous operation of the wastewater treatment plant, including the main electrical equipment, the motor control center, plant controls, laboratory, and offices. The aging facility needs to be upgraded and made more resilient to flooding. The WRF is located in a 100-year floodplain, and the preliminary FEMA flood maps and city codes indicate any new structures will need to be built to a minimum finished floor elevation of 13 feet. The subject work order will be performed under the terms and conditions of the General Engineering Services Agreement for Utilities Professional Services dated August 22nd, 2018, and it's valid through August 21st, 2021. Ardura Group developed a conceptual design and probable cost in 2019 on a conceptual level for a new 2-story administrative building to meet flood constraints. The next phase of this project will include details to bid and construct a new building in addition to the essential task of keeping the facility operating during construction, a resiliency analysis to ensure the facility can be operated during extreme weather, support of green building standards, and consideration of city architectural conformity. The budgetary effect is that the project is already budgeted in the fiscal year 2019-2020 capital improvement program under the GL and the 401 fund, and the work order is not to exceed a total of $511,054. Staff recommends approval. If council has any questions, I noticed that the managing director of Ardura, Mr. Chris Kusler, is here, as is our Public Works Director, Nan Bennett.
All right, before we get into any, are there any questions of staff? All right, so the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. Discussion? I think every 47 years, we should probably take a look at the design of a building.
Yeah, especially one that houses such important equipment.
You know? That always, I remember years ago when we first talked about doing that building, it was like a long time ago. It was one of those year 6 projects, though.
Yeah.
You know, in the capital improvement.
On and off,
fund.
right?
So anyhow.
In building.
It's good to see that it's finally here.
Yes.
All right, sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. You have anything else, sir?
Said, thank you, sir.
That's it, City Clerk.
Happy birthday, Mayor.
I thought I was going to get out of here without that. Thank you, thank you. All right, City Council, tentative, approval of tentative agenda item for September 15th, 2020. Does anybody wish to pull anything from the tentative agenda? Does anybody wish to add anything to the tentative agenda? The chair would like to add to the tentative agenda, establish policy for requiring in-person attendance at city council meetings and workshops. Anybody choose to, anything else? So at this time, the chair will entertain a motion to accept the tentative agenda as amended.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. It would be my intent, and the purpose of adding that is for us to have a discussion about how a policy like that should be crafted, so we can direct our legal counsel to go draft something. I would envision it to be something like this, that it is not permitted, it's considered absent if you're not in person. The exception being, if the council was to if the council was to approve it by a majority vote or an emergency declaration by executive order. And so that still would give some latitude, but we can discuss it then. All right, any other discussion? Since you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item 19, council comments. I'm going to start with Councilmember Saraki.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I really don't have much, but I want to just, a little tidbit where Andrew lives. The units are all sold. Hayes Park Village is sold out.
5 years later.
And I remember, Eric, we worked on that project with Bruce when the land, and I drove by, it's beautiful. I mean, that neighborhood is really a nice area you live in, Andrew. But I just want to make that's sold out.
Yeah, and you know, that project, of course, was done with Mr. Buse.
Yes.
And it was originally envisioned as going to be workforce housing. So we did some special stuff. And then the market crashed and everything was workforce housing for a while. So, but that's the history of that. Yeah, that's interesting.
And then the other thing I wanted to say is I got this in the mail this week for the Florida League of Cities, my Home Rule Hero certificate.
Congratulations, sir. Very well. 3rd year in a row.
I wore my little pin today, Home Rule Hero.
Home rule. All right.
And then the last thing I wanted to say is, Eric, happy birthday. Are you going anywhere? Are you doing special?
You know, no, I'm just gonna go to dinner with the family and that's it. Amber was trying to do some stuff and I said, I really don't want to do anything.
Well, there you go.
I don't
Happy
mean,
birthday.
you know, bah humbug, I'm getting old.
There you go. That's all I have.
Turning 80, you never know.
There you go.
All right, Councilmember Knapp.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
I just wanted to, again, congratulate Anthony, Mark, and Deb for all the work they've done over since the pandemic started, and especially making us all look so good through the face mask challenge videos. I also want to congratulate the people that have won the challenge thus far. There's been some great entries out there, and get some good chuckles out of the entries that are submitted. They are fun to look at. Just wanted to, extend my condolences to the victims of Hurricane Laura. I know I mentioned at the last meeting that there was some things out there to keep an eye on, and turned out to be true, not for us, but for others, unfortunately. And again, there's some things out there, so I'll probably keep bringing this up every meeting till the season is over. Do what you can to be ready, stock up, and you never know when we might be the ones right in the path. Happy birthday, Mayor. And then finally, wish everybody a happy Labor Day weekend.
Right, yeah,
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually had a very special opportunity to be a guest speaker on civic responsibility to the Cub Scouts of Den 475 this past
Excellent.
weekend. And it was really special. It was interesting to learn that these kids are about, 4th, 5th grade, 10, 11 years old. I introduced myself and told them a little bit about myself. And then I said, well, let's go around the room and I'd love to get to know you. What's your name? And if you know, what's the city part of your address? And most everybody knew their name. A lot of the kids didn't know their city, and I was surprised by that. And I was like, how interesting. And then I thought of the league's sort of push to reach out to kids to learn more about their city. And that was kind of the message that I was going for. The idea of it was to give them ways that they can feel like they're contributing to their community, even though they can't vote yet. Because you think, oh, my civic duty or my civic responsibility, and associate it immediately with voting. And so it was a fantastic time. The kids were really funny, actually. They asked some very intelligent questions. The parents seemed to learn a lot, too. People were surprised by some of the facts I threw out there. Interestingly enough, okay, none were from Oldsmar, so that's fine. But the biggest concern among at least half of them was the BMX track. And I was blown away. These kids, they almost quoted me like the whole process. They were like, didn't it close in April of, this year? And they knew the whole, what's going to happen with the BMX track? And I was like, wow. I was really blown away. And I had to explain to them, about how governing is choosing sometimes. And the first thing we do before we choose anything and on any topic is we find out more information. And we do our jobs, and the city staff does an endlessly fantastic job of finding out more information so that the decisions that we make can be educated decisions and on behalf of all of our citizens, not just some citizens, because it was hard for them to understand as kids why, somebody might not want a new BMX track, or the price tag to them might not be worth it versus new pipes or other projects and stuff like that. They were also very concerned about property damage. And what happens if a tree that's theoretically on a county line falls partially on our city, and whose job is it to clean it up? And I was like, well, if it's Hillsborough versus Pinellas and us versus Tampa, we're probably going to be moving that tree. But it was a lot of fun, and I thank them for hosting me. It was fantastic. I'm really excited about the tree giveaway. Happy birthday to the mayor. I know there's one more meeting beforehand, but the Opal Theater's production, Aladdin Jr., is coming up. If you remember, their prior production of Lion King Jr. was absolutely fantastic. They're going to be holding it in Arields Park because it's outside, so safer. It's going to be on the 26th. It's a Saturday, 8 p.m. So, get it on your calendar, support these kids that have been working so hard, even rehearsing via Zoom. And finally, it's my week, y'all. It's School Spirit Week. So,
Bring it on.
be sure to submit your school spirit themed masks to the Mayor's Face Off Mask Challenge so that you can win a gift certificate to Empower Adventures. And that's my final plug.
Very cool. I especially liked in your video when you got the pom-poms out and got the school spirit going.
I was gonna bring him to no. I actually donated the pom pom and the school bus to Anthony so that he could use it for future children's productions at the library.
We did a very good job on that video, by the way.
Thank you, sir. So did y'all. Everybody's videos have been fantastic.
All right, I've got a few things. One was to touch base on the Oldsmar Face Off Challenge. For those citizens who haven't participated, it's a lot of fun. Overall, I'm not sure how many submissions we've had to date, but there's been quite a few. It's been a good program, and our citizens certainly get creative. I do want to thank our sponsors who have donated those gifts once again. And let's see, that's Beechwood Restaurant and Flamestone and Salt Rock, Empower Adventures and Casa Cosenza.
Yep.
And we also picked up 'Cause You Care.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
They are donating, it's a new company, and Tracy Saunders is one of the principals in it. And of course, those folks, do all kinds of good things for the community. But it is a product line geared essentially for face masks and geared around COVID. They have some hand sanitizer, but they have a mask spray cleaner, right? A defogger for your glasses.
Defogger, yes.
And a scented type of spray for your mask as well. And of course, they're chemical engineers over there. So anyhow, but they've agreed to donate a starter kit to every one of our winners. It kind of goes, it just fits hand in glove. Or mask. Okay. Anyhow.
Real quick.
Yes.
My wife Paula did all the graphics for that product.
I saw.
She came up with the logos, all the labeling.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It really
is.
I went online and ordered a whole set of it, and it was supposed to get here it's probably get there tomorrow. So in any event, listen, I do want to say something about some of the water bill issues that we've been experiencing. I would ask citizens this. If your account is the one having a problem, the first step that you should take is to contact the utility department and express your concern, report your issue. It's really not helpful if you have your neighbor do it for you, just because we're not going to talk about your account with your neighbor. Right? I mean, and so we are attacking every one of these as we get it. Staff is doing everything from going out and putting special meters on top of the meters to check it, to looking at history, really going all out. And so I would ask that if you're having an issue, please take it upon yourself. Somebody else advocating for you doesn't really help us because we can't do anything. And that's the starting point. And from there, I know that our staff's working diligently if there's an issue or identifying whether or not there might be a leak. We have some areas where we're installing a large number of new meters. But, I learned something about meters from our staff and experts, and that is the old meters, it's not that they need to be replaced in part because they don't work properly, but they're like they kind of become like an old car in a sense, that it doesn't use all the horsepower. It starts to allow water to flow through that doesn't get counted. So now you put in a brand new meter that's cutting edge, brand new, and it counts every drop going through. And so there might be some situations where there's more accurate counts taking place because we had a 30-year-old meter there that didn't count everything going through. And so we'll see, but we're digging into those issues. Every time that it's brought up, it's not ignored. We jump on it as fast as we can and look for solutions to it. So I wanted to make a point of asking our citizens to do that. This might be a little bit unusual, but I just wanted to make a point of thanking both candidates for seat 1 who are here. The audience doesn't, at home doesn't see you. I appreciate the fact that you're investing the time to come to the council meetings and events. So thank you. It's a good sign that Oldsmar's got some good, strong folks out there running. And so that's exciting. I had the opportunity to meet with the Boy Scouts, and I've done this before in the past, and I got to give a couple of thank yous. One, I want to thank the clerk's office, because I went to Ann and said they can't come 15, 20 minutes before the council meeting because of scheduling and that kind of stuff. So she's agreed to come here and open up so we can hold it here and make it special for those kids the night before. So I appreciate you for that, and I know they do too. It's funny, last time I didn't get those questions that you got when
really?
No, they wanted to know, does the mayor get a private car?
Oh my, no.
I said that I said that they had envisioned the city manager would share his truck, but something went awry with that, so I don't know. But thank you for doing that, though, Katie. That's good. But I also want to make a point of just thanking the clerk. I also want to point something out. As Andrew alluded to, storm season, we know it's abound, and it's been threatened us already. I headed to Key West for an annual family vacation, and it was one of those things on Thursday. Thursday we're getting ready to go. Friday, the next day, it looks like it's going to come this way to Tampa Bay. And of course, my wife, who puts up with an awful lot, especially this past year being mayor, I said, honey, I don't know if we're going to be able to go tomorrow. And I'm not going to tell you her precise response, but she was not very pleased, I would say. And so we went ahead and made the agreement that we'd go, and if it looked like it was coming here, then I would just come back, right? And, so if I got a couple of days and she was going to stay down there, except then it looked like it was going to come to the Key West, and it got skirted and it went further and further. But I will tell you this, and this is the point of that story, how much I appreciate staff and our response to emergencies. Our team was ready. And I don't think they get enough credit for it, but our citizens need to know that. Mm-hmm. It's something that gets done behind the scenes. It's not as if a storm comes and now we're working on it. No, we're stocking, we're planning, we're inventorying assets, what has to be moved. There's an entire organized effort that takes place. And I just want to acknowledge all of our staff who spends the time working on that, and our city manager and assistant city manager and public works and all the folks who really, you need to know that you are in definite good hands. All right, that is all I have this evening. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Doesn't require a vote. We're adjourned. We're going to do a photo op.